Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to look at the latest on the significant snowfall we could be seeing in places over the next few days. Now we've got two main areas of interest for significant frontal snowfall. We've got the south through tomorrow into the start of Thursday, and then we have areas further northwards with another batch of significant snowfall in places through Thursday into Friday. So there could be some high snowfall totals in places. We must remember we are into March, so we're not expecting any of this snow to stick around for too long, but when it is falling, it could accumulate quite rapidly, and we could see perhaps as much as 5 to 10 centimetres in some low-lying areas perhaps come later this week. Highlands areas over higher ground, we could see 30, 40, maybe even 50 centimetres has been put in some of the Met Office warnings for some of the higher ground. So could be some quite significant impacts over the coming days. So I'll look at the latest weather warnings, which have been slightly altered since yesterday, and we'll have a look at the latest precipitation charts as well to see where they're pushing the frontal snowfall, what track they're taking, and how much of it will be falling as snow. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So to start on the live radar, you can see the weather front that has brought some falling snow in places through England and Wales overnight last night into the morning, still lingering across the far south, and then you can see a lot of convective showers starting to push in. Now this area of precipitation in the far south, it's very difficult to say what of this is falling as rain, sleet or snow. Its intensities are reducing now, and as we get into the daylight hours, I suspect most of this will be falling as a wintry mix to rain, but we could still see some flakes from this. Again, it's difficult to say if we saw anything too significant for this falling mostly overnight, and not expecting any settling from it. So haven't heard too many reports of any major snow from this, apart from some of the higher ground, but yeah, could have seen some flakes last night, and it's probably going to give quite a cold, miserable morning in the south. Those temperatures lingering in the low single digits, but not quite cold enough for any major snow. Now, it's these sort of weather fronts that do linger in the south that are going to give some heavy snow over the next sort of 36 hours or so. As this does clear, though, through this evening, it should turn a little bit brighter in the far south, hopefully, with this moving through. Again, it's sometimes a bit unpredictable with these lingering weather fronts, which can have a little bit more juice than the models initially anticipated. So hopefully that does clear, and we do see a bit of sunshine later today in the far south. Elsewhere, we've just got showers packing into northern and northeastern coasts. Have seen on some of the models recently that as the sun gets going today, we could see some showers develop more widely inland through the Midlands, northern England, and maybe East Anglia as well. Again, we'll have a look at the latest runs for that, and maybe that could start to develop over the course of lunchtime into the afternoon hours. But elsewhere, just some heavy showers continuing to push into the northern and northeast coast. These will reduce over the coming days as those isobars do turn a little bit more slack and a bit further apart, meaning lesser in terms of the stronger northerly wind, and it will reduce the shower activity. But we can still see a few centimetres accumulating in places. Has some images from up in the northeast where we saw some of these showers drifting inland earlier, well, last night really. And we saw a few centimetres temporarily accumulating there. Again, any of these showers falling overnight, especially in northern areas where those ground temperatures are now getting close towards freezing, especially after last night where it did get very cold. We will see those snow starting to accumulate as well. So if we do put on the temperatures as are around 10 a.m, it should start to be turning a little bit milder, but you can see it is still pretty cold out there. Look at that, widely lighter blues filtering and indicating temperatures are around freezing to slightly above freezing in most areas of England, Wales and the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland and Scotland. Most areas probably still hovering around that freezing point. Most areas, though, as it is early March, with the strong sunshine, will be getting into the low single digits today, mostly around that 3 to 5 degree mark. So it's not going to be freezing cold, but it could feel really quite cold out there. And if we do put on the feel-like temperatures, you'll be able to see that it's going to feel more like freezing out there through most of today. You can see the feel-like temperatures widely still with those lighter blues indicating temperatures of freezing or below freezing in terms of feel like, and you can see over higher ground of northern England and Scotland, we've got some pinky purples developing here, again indicating temperatures feeling like -10 or lower. So really freezing cold feel like out there today. So even if you're looking on your weather app on the thermometer, it says 5 or 6 degrees, it's going to feel a good few degrees colder than that. And we could see even snow falling at the sky at 3 or 4 degrees because of the very low dew points out there. So do make sure you do dress appropriately if you are going out today and in the next few days in general, as it is going to feel really quite cold out there. Even if it does look quite sunny with blue skies and not too bad, it's going to feel really quite bitterly cold. Now, if we do go over to the weather warnings and see what the latest weather warnings are showing, we've got this widespread snow and ice warning issued for northern and northeastern areas for the convective showers all day today until 10 a.m. tomorrow. Again, we'll have a look at this in detail. Again, we did this in detail in our last few videos. But again, a risk of a few centimetres in places. Now to Wednesday, we've still got a warning in the northeast, but we've got this warning in the south, which has been changed. It's actually been upgraded. Now it includes more parts of southern and eastern England. London is now included in this snow and ice warning. Spells of snow on Wednesday may cause travel disruption during Wednesday into Thursday morning. It's been extended further northwards across larger parts of southern England and East Anglia, with the likelihood of impacts increased. So an upgrade in the actual matrix of the warning, and including ice in there as well. Warning has been extended to Thursday primarily to include residual ice impacts that may persist into the morning travel period. So again, if we do look at those further details, an area of rain season snow is expected to develop across southwest England during Tuesday evening and move east during early Wednesday before clearing mid-morning. So we're expecting quite a bit of snow, perhaps the highest amount of snowfall just south of the M4 line, just south of London, and sort of across there. You could see 5 to 10 centimetres in a few hours, and there could be accumulations of 1 to 3 centimetres as well. So some areas maybe could see as high as 10 to 15 centimetres when all is said and done. However, we have to remember, whenever it's daylight hours, as soon as the snow does stop falling, it is likely to start melting, simply because the ground temperatures are probably going to still be hovering just above freezing, and the air temperatures in the daytime will be getting above freezing, and the sunshine as well will help melting as well. So it could just cause some disruption overnight, in the evenings and in the mornings, but as soon as we get towards lunchtime, I'm expecting most of it to start to melt. Again, high impact and increasing in likelihood as well. Again, we could even see an amber warning issued for this. I think the only thing restricting the amber warning at the moment is some uncertainty in the models. Most of them have the positioning very similar with the widespread precipitation in this southern quadrant, but some of them are developing more rain mixing in with it, others more snow. So we'll have a look at that in detail in a minute. Again, look at further warnings. We've still got the snow and ice warning in the south, and then we've got this significant snow warning further northwards. Again, it hasn't been updated, and it runs all the way into Friday. And expecting to see an amber warning issued within this somewhere, and perhaps, as I did state in yesterday evening's video, if we look at the further details, it is in a very high impact scale, so there is the threat of a red warning if the likelihood does increase. I must say, from looking at the models already this morning, I doubt the likelihood has increased all too much yet, as there is still uncertainty, especially on the southern extent of this warning area. I don't think there's going to be any snow really south of perhaps Birmingham, sort of the central Midlands area, but some areas of the North Midlands into northern England, that could be where we see some of the heaviest snow. But again, it will be potentially turning to rain. So that's, when we get on that dividing line, we see the heaviest precipitation, but we also see the most likelihood of it perhaps turning to rain. So we'll have to see what the models show in a minute. But I do suspect this will be updated in the next 24 hours or so to include an amber warning in somewhere within this area. Again, I'm recording this earlier in the morning. We have seen that update for Wednesday's warning. I haven't seen any updates for any other warnings, but if there are updates throughout today, any upgrades or anything like that, we will be doing another video later to update you all on that. So if we do now go over to the UKV and see what that is showing over the next sort of couple of days. Again, my opinion is the most highly regarded model, but it did did not perform too well on some of the precipitation last night from some of its earlier runs. His most recent runs, the last 24 hours, it has done well, but a few days ago it was showing more of an extensive event, but of course it has downgraded over the last 24 hours. So you can see this morning it is still lingering in the far south, but clearing through, and you can see how I said this afternoon we could see some more widespread showers developing in the Midlands, East Anglia, maybe Wales as well, with some heavier snow showers breaking out. Again, further northwards perhaps as well, and you can see those drifting inland further northwards as well as the sunshine gets going. So pretty much anywhere today could see a little bit of falling snow, but again, don't expect anything. But if you are looking out the window, you could see some flakes falling at times. As we head through this evening, we do see a weather front approaching from the far southwest, and this is the next area of interest. Initially, through Tuesday night, it could fall as rain right along the coast, but as it drifts inland, it could fall as snow. This first batch of precipitation we don't expect to come too far inland, so mostly mixed to rain or snow right along the coast. Again, we're very uncertain exactly how this does engage with that cold air. It's the next area of precipitation. You can see it's further northwards, nudges into that cold air, and it turns rapidly to snow through southern England. Again, uncertainty exactly how much of this turns to snow. Of course, it's moving in around 4 or 5 p.m. tomorrow, just as the sun's starting to set. So again, if this is delayed by another hour or two, we could see more of this fall as snow. Beyond that, again, you can see a lot of heavy snow associated with it as it does eventually clear through. And this is where we could see a good few centimetres of snow quite quickly overnight before we see more areas of little bits of snow drifting as well. Before we see the main batch of heavy snow for the north drifting in for Thursday. So the next low pressure system bumps into that cold air. As I said, it's sort of the central to North Midlands. It's going to be the southern extent of the snowfall here. Again, higher ground there, of course, most favoured. But could be some quite widespread snow drifting in there. Eventually that snow line does drift towards northern England, but again, uncertainty, exact positioning of this through Thursday night into Friday, and eventually it does push away. So you can see there, through some areas of northern England, it could be snowing for maybe 12 to 24 hours straight, and we could see some big snowfall accumulations there. For eventually clears, we all go back into a cold northerly wind once again, and see another weather front bumping into that cold air, and could once again give a bit of mix of rain, sleet and snow into the weekend. Now if we look at this new snow depth, we do head for that snow tomorrow. Through the evening, we could see maybe 5 to 10 centimetres in some areas just south of the M4 line. Again, there's the potential for an amber warning issued there if this does get cross-model consensus, which it doesn't quite have at this stage. Beyond that, into Thursday, we see the heavy snow break out elsewhere. Initially, it could be, as I said, snow across the Midlands through Thursday afternoon, before eventually it just mainly is through northern areas, again, perhaps as high as 50 centimetres being seen there over the higher ground. Now, if we do go over to the 2 metre temperatures, again, you can see this afternoon widely sort of 3 to 5 degrees, pretty chilly out there through the rest of today. Overnight, these temperatures will plummet below freezing quite widely wherever we have clearer skies, -3 to maybe as low as -10 there. The far south still hovering around freezing. And then eventually, as that precipitation does move in tomorrow, it does keep it pretty cold in places. Widely 3 to 5 degrees where we have sunshine, hovering around freezing where we have cloud and precipitation. Beyond that, into Thursday again, widely below freezing overnight, and then into Thursday in the day. We do see 10 degrees perhaps in the far south, parts of northern England hovering still around freezing as that cold air tries to hold on with the very mild air coming up against it. Beyond that, into Friday, we stay very cold in the north still. Again, very strong dividing line there. Again, uncertainty where that dividing line does sit. Could be 50 miles further southwards, could be where it is here, or could be 50 miles further northwards. It definitely has been trending slightly further southwards over the last sort of 24 to 48 hours, so we will have to see what happens with that. And eventually, through Friday, it does turn colder widely for all, overnight frost into early hours of Saturday, and pretty chilly again for the weekend, with that cold air coming in back for all. So yeah, remaining fairly cold into the weekend, temporary sort of 24 to 36 hours of milder air through most of England, Wales and parts of the Republic of Ireland as that mild wedge does move in, but that does give way to significant snow in the north. So we're pretty much going to be dealing with wintry hazards for the next sort of 5 or 6 days at least here. So make sure you do keep up to date with the warnings and do stay safe out there. If you do now just look at some other models, we'll go through these quite quickly, just to compare them to what the UKV was showing and see if we've got good cross-model consensus. Now, if we do run through this, you can see that area of precipitation cleared from the south. You can see that snow potentially through the early hours of tomorrow, and then we see another area of precipitation move in. Again, snow, but nothing too significant. Still sort of lingering there, but not too much in terms of heavy snow. And the main area of heavy precipitation is just offshore. So again, very uncertain from little 50 to 100 mile shifts in weather fronts. As we head later into the week, you can see that heavy snow pushing in. Again, starting in the Midlands, you can see some heavy snow there. Eventually that snow line doesn't actually drift all too far northwards. Birmingham stays in that area of snow for quite a considerable period of time before peeling away. Again, this would actually eradicate much of this heavy snow from Scotland and give the heaviest snow over parts of Northern England, the Midlands and Northern Ireland and parts of North Wales. So very interesting seeing that for eventually clears into the weekend. So this arpeggio are definitely trending it further southwards, and I wouldn't be surprised if some areas in the Midlands, Northern England, saw the bulk of the snowfall from this. Again, if we just have a look at the snow depth from this, you can again see there through the Midlands, perhaps 10 to 20 centimetres around that Birmingham area. And of course, over the higher ground, as high as 30 or 40 centimetres. Very interesting seeing that today. Definitely a sudden shift in the precipitation over the past couple of, last 24 to 48 hours. Now, if we do look at the ECMWF, see how that does compare. Again, the heavy snowfall pushing into the south at the moment could a lot more widespread there and pretty much filling the whole warning zone. So definitely perhaps the UK Met Office has looked at this ECMWF in detail, because this is pretty much bang on where we've got the warning zone at the moment. It does eventually clear through, see a bit more snow even into parts of Wednesday evening there. So initially Wednesday morning and then more through Wednesday evening, and then we see the wider area of snow. Again, the line here for the heavy snow is just through the North Midlands. Very interesting seeing that. So definitely a southern shift in the area of snow here. You see just north of Birmingham up towards Manchester, that area there. That's definitely seeing the most significant snow here on this latest ECMWF. Perhaps some rain mixing in at times towards low-lying areas where eventually it wraps through and see more snowfall drifting through before more weather fronts approach for the weekend and sort of give a mix of rain, sleet and snow before eventually everything turns to rain. Again, very interested to see what the snow depth is for this. So southern England, perhaps 5 to 10 centimetres, and through that North Midlands corridor into northern England, look at that, 20 centimetres. I think that's somewhere around Nottingham, somewhere around there, 20 centimetres. A lot of snowfall could be falling to not even particularly highly elevated areas, simply because we've got that very cold air colliding with that very mild air. So we will have to see what does happen for this, but definitely a shift from the models to give some really quite heavy snowfall through northern England. Could even call it historic snowfall if we saw these sort of snowfall totals to areas that are not even that particularly well elevated. Even areas into sort of just north of London, into parts of sort of Midlands, maybe into East Anglia or southern Midlands there, could see 5 centimetres as well. Definitely some big snowfall totals from the ECMWF today. If we do move over to the GM, see how that does compare. Again, snowfall overnight tonight into the early hours of tomorrow in the far south, and then another batch of precipitation slightly further northwards this though, so perhaps could have to shift that snow warning just to the north of London perhaps. So it did say in the Met Office warning would be south of the M4, but suggesting here north of the M4 here. Again, interesting seeing that. Again, heaviest snowfall initially just north of Birmingham, but maybe 50 miles further northwards here, more north of Manchester. So again, very similar to the other two runs, or the other three runs, but just producing that heaviest snowfall, maybe 50 miles further northwards. Again, very much touch and go where that does develop, for eventually another major snow event as another low pressure system slides in into Saturday. So some areas here through the Midlands and Northern England could really get peppered by huge amounts of snowfall. Again, we are into March, so a lot of it will melt as soon as it sort of stops falling, we see any sunshine. But if we saw this persist, we could see some areas seeing temporary accumulations of 10 to 20 centimetres perhaps very, very interesting seeing what these latest charts are showing. There could be some really quite historic snowfall on board here for later this week. And the one thing I must say is we have been seeing it trend colder and more snowy over the last couple of runs, simply because, as I said in a couple of videos ago, the cold air does trend and does start to hold on a lot more than the models initially anticipate, and that could be what we're seeing here. The low pressures earlier in the week and towards the weekend were showing them just progressing through, giving us milder air from sort of Friday, but they're now starting to show more low pressure system coming up against the cold air and getting pushed away, providing significant snow. So we will have to see what happens with this, but there is a risk of very heavy snowfall in the far south through tomorrow, 2 batches through the morning and then through the evening, and then some very heavy snowfall Thursday into Friday in the north, and that could continue like this GM run into Saturday as well, with multiple areas of snowfall pushing in. So as I said, we'll have to see what happens with this over the coming days. Make sure you do keep up to date with the warnings. I'll keep you updated, of course, as well if after this video is done and we do see more warnings change today. I will be putting another video out later this evening, so make sure you check that out, probably around sort of 6-7 p.m. But yeah, make sure you stay safe out there. Could be some big snowfall around, and if you do enjoy snow, make sure you enjoy it, as we will be heading into spring and summer, fortunately, quite soon. So this probably will be winter's last hurrah, maybe a bit of frost and fog, and maybe a bit of wintry showers here or there. So make sure you do enjoy it if you do like snow. If you don't like snow, well, just bear with it. We've only got probably another couple of weeks of any wintry potential before things start to turn a bit warmer and perhaps sunnier as we head into the middle of spring. So anyway, thanks for watching. Make sure you stay safe over the coming days, and I'll see you again for another video soon.